All right, we are broadcasting.
Council President, do you want to start with a moment of silence?
Yes, please. Thank you. Don't rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, ready? I pledge allegiance to
allegiance
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation, under God,
indivisible,
visible,
and
liberty, and justice for all.
Okay.
All right, before we get started, I just wanted to read an announcement. Again, please be aware that public comment during the public hearing portion of the meeting will be moderated through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising your hand in the app. You can find the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. When it's your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask you to unmute yourself so that you can be heard. We also had an executive session this evening to discuss pending litigation of a tax appeal. It was a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris authorizing settlement of the tax appeals entitled 67-73 Spring Street LLC versus Town of Morristown, docket numbers 012857-2012, 012434-2013, and 008976-2015. I would ask for a motion, please, to add this resolution to the agenda as resolution number R-82-2020.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
yes,
Council President Armington?
Yes.
The resolution has been added to the agenda as R-82-2020. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. Unless a member of council would like to consider one separately, I would ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
yes,
And Council President Armington.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I will open the floor for public hearing on any matter. Please be reminded that you must raise your hand in the app to indicate you would like to speak. Kindly state your name and address. Limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and or administration may be ruled out of order.
All right. There are 2 hands raised. I'll start with Mr. Umbriak. All right, Mr. Umbriak.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Nathan Umbriak, 1 Randolph Drive. First, I'd like to thank Jillian, Bob, and the administration for keeping Shady Lane and the surrounding neighborhoods updated and informed. To my understanding, notices of violations were sent and the zoning application was denied, but the facility continues to operate in violation without zoning approval. What are the administration's next steps and timelines? Thank you.
Okay. The next person is Ms. Inestrosa. Ms. Inestrosa.
Hello. Hi, Lorena Inestrosa, 39 Early Street, Morristown. I have a quick question about 42 Spring Street. The construction continues. So does that fall under a HUD exemption, or what exemption does that fall under that it allows the construction to continue? The second part is, I think in one of the last couple meetings, you stated you were going to be applying for a grant for the airport. How does that affect the proposal that was voted on to approve to have the runway, I think it was runway 5, resurfaced, if any, if it does affect it. Third part is, back when we were having public sessions, I had asked, we had heard rumblings that Gatto and SJP were looking for some type of tax relief, and we're still hearing that. So can we get a definitive answer if they are actively seeking tax relief, and how does that affect this whole application? Because it was kind of sold on the fact that he wouldn't be looking for any type of tax relief. And then my fourth little comment is just a thank you to Mayor Doherty for the roses that he brought to the senior citizen buildings on Mother's Day. It was a very nice gesture.
You're muted, Jillian.
Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Inestroza. I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay.
Public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing. Council responses to public hearing comments?
I'll let Jillian give an update on One Shady Lane, but I will say that Mr. Umbriak's comments are actually very reflective of some continued calls that I continue to get. A lot of concern about the scope of the operation, with the operation now in full force, with quite a bit of traffic in and out, and it truly is a commercial use. But Jillian, can you give an update maybe?
Sure, Councilman. So as I shared with many of the residents on the street by email last week, the property owner, while she did email an application, there was no payment made, so the application was never completed. Nevertheless, the zoning officer did provide a letter stating to the owner and the operator that the property is not zoned for that use, and that they're in violation of the zoning, as well as in violation for not having submitted a zoning permit application. Subsequently today, they were issued notices of violation, both the owner and the operator. In response to that letter, the owner has not yet provided any response to the zoning officer. Now they were put on notice that they must cease operation and comply with the zoning as stated by the zoning officer. If they do not comply, then they will be issued violations and fines, which will continue until the property is abated or they seek an appeal from the zoning board.
Jillian, pending any court action, is there any ability for a order to cease?
To my knowledge, we would need to permit them time to cure in response to the notice of violation. From that point, then there certainly may be some court action. I don't know. In fact, I'll have to defer that question to one of our attorneys regarding whether we can issue cease and desist.
Well, Bob, Councilman, we can certainly issue cease and desist, and that's essentially what's been done by the zoning officer. As far as anything we can do besides going to court and seeking an order to show cause, there's nothing else. It would have to be a health emergency for the town to have the powers to evict the people that are living in the house. So besides going for an order to show cause and seeking court action, court injunction, that's the only legal option.
So what will be the procedure or the process for them to shut down that operation?
Well, the violations will continue on a daily basis. So they would continue to accrue violations and fines. In order for us to use force to remove the individuals, that's not something that is within our powers. We would have to go to court and seek an order from a Superior Court judge that would force the individuals to vacate the property.
Fines could commence prior to the court hearing, correct, speech?
Absolutely, yes. The fines are daily fines, so they would continue to accrue.
All right. Any other council responses to public hearing comments? From the planning, well, from the redevelopment side regarding Ms. Sinostroza's comment, we have not, council has not been presented with any request for a tax reduction. So I'm not aware of that.
But just to clarify further, Stefan, what we did approve was the retention of a financial consultant with reference to this project.
Yes.
And the scope of the financial review is more than the possible request for a pilot or some kind of tax abatement. It's also the other financial aspects of the application, right? Right on that, Jillian?
Correct.
And that was the only action that the council actually took, was the retention of the financial consultant.
Jillian, can you just explain to the public how the grants work for the airport real quickly? Because maybe some people don't understand that they're applied for and they basically run through the town's budget. You could explain it a lot better than I just did.
Sure. The grants are applied for by the organization that operates the airport. The airport property is owned by the town. However, the airport is run by a private company through a long-term lease. That group applies for grants from the FAA to perform capital improvement projects. And while those grants are approved by the town because they're federal dollars, that's a pass-through simply that goes from the federal government directly to the airport and their operations. So while we do approve their contracts through capital ordinances and resolutions approving the grant agreements, those again are pass-throughs and do not come into the town's coffers at all. There was a question about the CARES grant from the airport. That was a grant that was requested specifically for airport operations, tied to the CARES Act, similar to the relief funds that are available for small businesses. There's a specific segment of funding that's available for airports to support their operations during the public health crisis and public health emergency. And so the recent grants that were applied for are specific for from the CARES Act, tranches of money to the airport, and they don't directly impact the runway projects. They're already underway and have gotten grant funding from the FAA.
Thank you.
Mr. President, just to reiterate that no town funds are ever used for any of the projects at the airport.
Correct.
If I may, Council President?
Yes.
Beej, would you just touch on the other question that was answered about the construction 42 Spring Street and the executive order by the governor that allows this construction to go forward?
There's a lot of exceptions for construction to take place. I'll have to look at the exact project at 42 Spring Street, but if anything has to do with affordable housing, a housing project, or contracts that have to be performed pursuant to a municipality or state or federal government, those are all exempt construction. So I'll have to look at that exact construction to see if it falls under essential construction.
And is there any segment of that executive order that touches base on if your permits have been pulled prior for construction, prior to the executive order?
Well, the construction would still have to fall under, the type of construction would still have to fall under the exemptions in the executive order.
Okay, you want to get that executive order and be prepared to answer that question at the next meeting?
Sure.
I believe that they are within their rights to operate. Thank you.
All right. Mayor's proclamations and presentations.
I don't have any proclamations today, but I do have a presentation, or at least a budget address.
All right.
You want to hear it?
We would love to hear it.
Just bear with me a little bit. I have a split screen. One side is the budget address. The other side is the Zoom conference.
Okay.
So just bear with me as this is the first time I'm going to be doing it, obviously, this way, instead of standing up in front of the public. And if you had asked me this a year ago, that this would be the situation we were in to do a budget address via computer to everyone, I'd say, no, not possible. But here we are. So tonight, I present the Morristown's 2020 proposed budget. This year's proposed budget, totaling $52.5 million, represents a balanced approach to what can be only described as precarious times. The public health crisis caused by COVID-19 pandemic has had a catastrophic impact on the lives of many in our town and around the world. I want to thank our first responders and the heroes working every day on the front lines in our community, healthcare facilities, in our essential businesses that continue to support the most vital parts of our community. I salute you all. I also want to thank all of the many volunteers in our town who have demonstrated the meaning of community by making and distributing masks, organizing food drives, and supporting our local businesses, hospital workers by donating gift cards. And I want to give a heartfelt thank you to the many organizations and houses of worship for supplying food and sustenance to the residents that need it most. I am continually reminded how wonderful our community is and how our citizens come together to support one another in times of need. As everyone has experienced, this disease has forced us to stay at home, suspend businesses, activity, and change the way we live, work, and play. As a result, the town's finances have been directly impacted by this loss of activity, but we will endure. Being fiscally responsible means planning for unforeseeable events, and that's exactly what we have done. Due to years of prudent fiscal management, sensible policy decisions, and careful planning, we are able to propose a budget that imposes no tax increase on our taxpayers while maintaining government services. Because I know that many of our taxpayers are hurting right now, I don't want to add to the additional burden of a tax increase if it can be avoided. How is this possible? Because Morristown's administrators are rigorous stewards of our taxpayer dollars, and that rigor has prepared our town for difficult financial periods. While other towns unfortunately struggle with cash flow challenges and facing tough decisions immediately, we have made decisions that have built up our fund balance so that it's available to support temporary financial strain like this one. They say that surplus is a rainy day fund, and by golly, it's raining. To prepare this budget, we also took stock of every expense and took immediate steps to freeze personnel costs and eliminate discretionary spending. Because of these steps and careful savings, we now have the wherewithal to make the decision to support our residents and workforce by ensuring that our town can continue to function fully. But while I'm confident that our administration has the best team in place to face this challenge and that we will adjust accordingly to minimize further impact on the evolving economic environment, I must caution you all because we don't know the long-term impact of this public health emergency. I want to state that again. I must caution everyone that we don't know the long-term impact of this public health emergency. Prolonged or deeper fiscal depression may result in difficult decisions being forced upon our municipal operations in the future. However, in the meantime, our town is prepared to weather the storm and serve our community as this crisis continues to unfold. To ensure our town's long-term stability, we must continue to build upon the success of our redevelopment efforts. The town has experienced a renaissance over the last 10 years, and that has resulted in an influx of investment into our town. From projects like Madero 44 and 55, to the relocation of Fox Rothschild to Market Street, Morristown continues to be a desirable place for new businesses and residents to establish and thrive. The redevelopment project on Speedwell Avenue attracted a CVS, national chain to our business district, that now serves a vital part of our community. What makes Morristown attractive is our vibrant community of diverse uses, including shops, restaurants, museums, historic sites, and a world-class theater. There's so much to look forward to as our community comes back to life, and these very destinations that are missed during this time are what makes Morristown special and a place to be. We must continue to build upon these strengths, though continuing to pursue measured and thoughtful redevelopment. To highlight a few projects already underway, the vertical project includes 55 units of residential at Market Street is almost completed and should be open soon. The Cambria Hotel projects next to it has completed demolition and should commence construction later this year. The train station redevelopment contemplated by Bijou is already approved and awaiting sign-off by NJ Transit. This beautiful design project will add as much needed and awaited transit-oriented development to our downtown. Each of these projects and other forthcoming redevelopment add to the vibrancy that is Morristown, but also add ratables that will further support our long-term fiscal health. However, we want to make sure that we balance development with maintenance of neighborhood character. That's why we recently adopted 2 ordinances to protect the quality of life for our residents. Last year's administration worked with the governing body and the Historic Preservation Commission to pass the demolition moratorium ordinance, which prevents the thoughtless removal of properties of historic character to simply flip them for financial gain. Our ordinance ensures a waiting period of 9 months that allows for thoughtful consideration of alternatives and to demolition, and includes hefty penalties to discourage property owners from flaunting the rules. The short-term rental ordinance passed by the governing body earlier this year similarly protects neighborhoods by restricting short-term rental units to our town core or TC zones. These downtown areas are more conducive to the transient population that often inhabits these units. Policy changes like these demonstrate the effectiveness of our planning efforts this year and throughout the year. The town's planning staff worked diligently with the administration and the town's boards and commissions to ensure that our land use supports our vision for Morristown. They are also working with the town's engineering division and the NJ Department of Transportation on the next phase of implementation of the town's mobility study. That study evaluated the major travel corridors throughout the town, which are also state highways. One of the findings of that study was that the timing plans of each of these intersections reflected traffic patterns from over 20 years ago and served to exacerbate existing congestion. Of course, if you think about flipping at this sign now with no traffic, this is probably what it was like 100 years ago. But I think we'd rather go back to having a little more traffic and things open. But it is interesting for those who are around the town, when you're walking around the town and driving through town when there's absolutely no traffic, it is very, very interesting. Since we completed our study in 2017, the town has been working effectively with NJDOT to ensure that these timing plans get updated. I am happy to share that the state of New Jersey is in the home stretch of this project and is now bench testing the new signal timings. They are expected to finally deploy the new timing plans this summer. Without the work of our administration 3 years ago and our pestering of NJDOT, this project would not have gotten the attention that it has. However, I am grateful to NJDOT for their work with us on this important project and thank them for their commitment to our town. In addition to the signal timing improvements, NJDOT has planned a road diet for the Speedwell Avenue corridor, which will be constructed this fall. The road diet will serve to incorporate traffic calming measures and infrastructure for bicycles, making it safer for all those who use the road. I am also happy to share that the Hawk Beacon on Speedwell is now operational and functioning. I want to thank Trans Options for their assistance with our police to educate residents and motorists about this signal and how it works. I think we'll be redoing that over the next month as the delay was getting that timing right and all the equipment we needed for that. So the administrator and myself have had this discussion. I believe she has reached out to police chief, and we will start doing that re-education so that traffic beacon hawk gets used the way it is designed for it to be successful. Trans Options has been a wonderful supporter of our traffic safety initiatives for many years and has worked with us on a number of pedestrian safety projects. Engineering has a number of projects planned for this year to follow the many successful projects completed last year, and I will name a few. The James Street area continues to rave about the sidewalks installed last year, which match well with the expansions of Foots Pond Wood, accomplished through the additional tract of land from Loyola property. That's a win for not just the administration, but the council to preserve that property. And if you haven't gone over there to go through those trails, you really should. It is amazing. I know a lot of people are really happy, especially in the conditions we are now with their social distancing and keeping getting a little bit outside. It's good to take a walk in those trails. As long as you keep your distance from other people, it's a great asset for our community. Of course, we also opened the new trail through the park, which has been a hit. And we have been working towards the hydro raking on Foots Pond, and I am ecstatic to share that it will happen this summer. And I'll be glad when that happens. We also completed a number of drainage improvement projects throughout the town last year, one of which was in Burnham Park, which improved that area immensely. No more muddy puddles around the playground or behind the lake. The next phase of the project is a park master plan, which will be the foundation of the future capital planning for this wonderful town asset. We look forward to working with the neighbors and Burnham Park Association on this project. We will also expand the pond management project started at Burnham to the lakes at Speedwell and Pocahontas Park to safely manage vegetation growth in these lakes. The town has focused on park improvements each of the last 3 years, which will continue this year to include the completion of the tennis court resurfacing at Lidgerwood and Elliott Street to be completed by the end of the spring. The resurfacing of Jacob Ford basketball courts are also planned for this summer. The reincarnation of the courts at Granby Park for futsal will also be done this summer. I am also excited to see the first phase of the open space at Speedwell redevelopment to commence later this spring with the grading and seeding of the Great Lawn to be completed by Mill Creek as part of their developer's agreement. The town aims to complete the second phase of this project this fall, which will provide the third new open space for our residents in 3 years. Once again, our administration remains committed to expanding open space opportunities in every community and believe that this is a valuable investment to our quality of life our community deserves. The town has a few streetscapes improvement projects planned, including the completion of Washington Avenue streetscape project and the milling and servicing of number of streets in Morristown. We will also commence the Lafayette Streetscape Improvement Project. These improvements will provide an improved pedestrian connection for the Oliphant neighborhood into the downtown and will dovetail nicely with the transit development plan at the train station. All of these projects are funded through state grant dollars. Ongoing investment in infrastructure improvements are important to ensure that safe enjoyment of our town and to prevent the increased expense of deferred maintenance. Capital projects planned for this year include improvements to roads and sidewalks, the purchase of needed equipment for public works to ensure that our roads and properties are maintained, and include spending for critical equipment for public safety. Our Department of Public Safety does a yeoman's job every day of protecting our residents from fire, crime, the catastrophe of storms, and emergencies. You'll hear more details about their accomplishments when their annual report is presented to the council next month. But I want to take a few minutes to highlight a few of their major accomplishments for 2019. The total crime index is down for the third year in a row and is at its lowest level in 10 years. The police expanded their quality of life initiatives to ensure that everyone enjoys our downtown respectfully. The department has also expanded their community interaction through the active use of social media. This year, the Bureau will expand training of managerial staff and continue to focus on the quality of life issues. Most anticipated is the Police Bureau will seek to achieve state accreditation for the first time ever. The police are not the only public safety agency that has been busy. The Fire Bureau saw a 2% increase in the number of calls last year and continued their community fire prevention efforts through the distribution of over 200 smoke detectors to residents. The town deployed new safety equipment to our firefighters and made structural improvements to our historic firehouse on Morris to ensure it sees another 100 years of service. Moving forward, the town plans to continue to support their work through additional development of much needed safety equipment, deployment, not development, of much needed safety equipment to ensure we maintain NFPA standards and that our firefighters are prepared to address every emergency incident. Our building department also serves a vital role in ensuring the safety of our residents. The division continued to be active in 2019 with over 900 permits issued and over 9,000 inspections completed, resulting in over $1 million in permit fees collected. The building department helped to shepherd the completion of the Peck School addition, the addition at the Gagnon building of Morristown Medical Center, the rooftop deck at 1776 on the Green, the new residential building next door at 190 South. Ongoing construction includes 30 Court Street, 32 Mount Kimball, redevelopment at 23 Spring Street, not to mention the opening and relocation of several restaurants and businesses in town. All of this activity shows that Morristown is poised for rejuvenation as our state moves towards reopening. But for now, we must continue to work together to reduce the spread of this devastating disease. In early March, when it became evident that this terrible disease was heading into New Jersey, we had to begin to make tough choices to protect our citizenry. Morristown was the first town in the region to cancel the St. Patrick's Day Parade. While a difficult and disappointing decision at that time, it was important to follow the advice of our public health officials, and it proved to be the right choice. We will continue to take a measured approach and follow the lead of our state officials as we move into the next phase of the new normal. But we are working together locally to develop a strategy with the Morristown Strong Business Task Force. This group of government, health, and commerce representatives will work with our local merchants to prepare to hit the ground running when we're given the okay to open. We are grateful for the restaurants and the essential businesses that have remained open to serve our residents. And with the work of the task force, we will be ready to fully restore the excitement and energy that is Morristown. I want to express my appreciation, for each member of this council. For their partnership, this town is where it is now because of the efforts and support of the governing body. I want to thank the leadership of the administration for their efforts during these challenging times. I want to stop there for a second. I want to give special acknowledgement to our business administrator, Jillian Barrick. It is no easy task to, put a budget like this and project what may be in the future with dealing with COVID-19. I also want to thank our CFO, Frank Mason, and I want to give a shout out to Kristen Wedderburn, who is here every day with me, dealing with the needs of this office, with residents, with setting up meetings after meetings. We do conference calls a few times a day just with the group that are running the departments. I want to thank our police chief, our fire chief, our public safety director, our construction official, our property maintenance officials, health, everybody that's kicked in. I can't tell you that every department is manned and people have been working in town hall. It may not be open to the public, but the residents of Morristown should know that your employees here, that you tax dollars pay to work, are working, and they've done an unbelievable job. And I also want to give a shout out to all the workers, but I also want to give a special shout out to the DPW guys. You know, I come in this building and I watch people wipe down doorknobs and door handles and railings, and every day they're doing something. I watched our DPW guys redo every department in this building, whether it's the administration office, construction, property maintenance, health, you name it. They have plexiglass and have redone the clerk's office, vital statistics, you name it, they did it. And, you know, that's a shout out to those guys. DPW have been working every day. They work in shifts. They've done an unbelievable job for this community, you know, and as much as the volunteers for this town and what they have shown as us as a community, those guys on DPW have done their job, and they're out in the public every day, and they're keeping our streets clean, and they're taking care of our trees, and they're doing everything they need to do to keep this town running too. And so I didn't want to forget them. And you know, when you think about it, Essential doesn't, when you hear Essential employees, it does not begin to describe the role of our employees that play in this community. It's just, I can't even begin to discuss it. I want to thank all the employees, every cop, every fireman, every DPW, everybody, every clerk, everybody that works. I want to thank you all for your dedication. And let's be honest, this disease does not discriminate. It has affected everyone, and many wonderful people have lost their lives. This disease has decimated our way of life and altered our daily living. But there is one thing I know, one thing: we will always rise up. In The Gift of Nature, author Catherine Devine wrote, "Like tiny seeds with potent power to push through tough ground and become mighty trees, we hold an innate reserve of unimaginable strength. We are resilient. Morristown is resilient. And together we will endure this together." So God bless you all. Thank you. And I look forward to a great finish of 2020, and the future looks bright for Morristown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Is that also your report of the mayor, or you have another one?
I think that's probably enough hearing from me. That it was a long speech.
Okay.
Obviously, I in my speech I take a lot of direction from the people that are around me, and I've said this for 10 years, a decade, including council. When I was a councilman, you are only as good as the people that roll up their sleeves and go to work every day, like the people that are around me here from, and don't let me forget this, because I'll never hear the end of it. Trust me, my town attorney, Vij Pawar, guides me in a lot of direction and what we do in this town. So I almost forgot to give him a shout out, but I never would have heard the end of it if I did. So, little buddy, thank you very much for what you do to the town. That's an inside joke for us. But yeah, so Beach, thank you very much. I couldn't have done this without you for all these years. And of course, I always give my wife a shout out because she has to put up with me not being home and all the calls that I get day and night. And of course, the public, the citizenry of Morristown. You guys are great, and we'll just keep working hard, and we'll get through this together as a group. And I'm not going to do it by myself. We need you guys too. That's it, though, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. And just a side point, we really appreciate your daily public briefings are fantastic, and I know that a lot of people tune into them, and much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, so ordinances for introduction.
Council liaison reports?
Oh yeah, sorry, council liaison reports.
The Morristown Parking Authority actually is meeting tomorrow morning. Very supportive and very thankful for the waiver of the fees associated with the sidewalk cafes. Very appreciative administration. That was a great thought. Curbside pickup continues, and they do appreciate our continued service. They remind any business that has not made accommodations for curbside pickup to contact either the partnership or the MPA, the Morristown Parking Authority. Like to just remind all of our community, both in Morristown and the surrounding areas, about the Go Fund Morristown. That's the partnership website that has a lot of events and also things we can do to support our businesses here in town. Partnership does remain open for phone calls if there are any questions between 11 and 2, Monday through Friday. And they look forward to working with the mayor administration in the town with reference to a safe reopening. And they're anxious to get back into business.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The Morristown Parking Authority, their last meeting was on the 21st of April. They have an upcoming meeting on Wednesday, May 20th. So nothing really much to report other than that they are working on an incentive program for their part-time debit program. But other than that, status quo.
Thanks, Sheba.
For Morristown Housing Authority, there will be a board meeting next Monday via Zoom. They have several resolution and scheduled bills that must be processed. Mr. Kinar will be updating the board on the time calendar for the beginning of the senior buildings work with the approved developer that was contracted by the MHAs. Also, something remarkable on the senior building is that out of 274 seniors, only 4 confirmed cases of the virus and only 1 death, which was like 3 weeks ago, I think so, which means that the most vulnerable in our town are being well protected. It's a very good news. Sadly, of course, 1 death. Our executive director and his deputy, Allison, have done a great job. Maureen has been there every Tuesday to deliver hot meals to all the seniors. Those has been donated by Chef Freddy, Pomodoro, and Porofinos. Also, they have been taking full bags of groceries. And as Mayor was saying, the collaboration and the cooperation of many organizations, churches, non-for-profits makes Morristown a great town. On a personal note, because I work on the front here in Morristown with our church, but also we have campuses in other towns. And in other towns, we have to provide more help because they don't have as many organizations and they don't have this way of being organized to help each other. So Morristown is outstanding on this, and I hope we are a model and we can help other towns that need to develop this kind of community. And I just told you this because you might not know, but there are other towns that are not that well organized in regard of having this community-oriented vision and drive and attitude to help each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Silva.
I'll report on the Shade Tree Commission. The Shade Tree Commission is planning on meeting on June 16th. We don't know if it's in person or if it will be a Zoom meeting. Everybody should check the Morristown website to find out the method of meeting if they'd like to attend. We have reviewed the end of Crestwood. It was discussed in January. We were trying to eliminate the dumping and trespassing that's going on down there. Once a plan has been finalized, we are going to try to have some kind of neighborhood meeting to let them know. But the Shade Tree Commission will vote on that in June, so we could proceed at that time. And I'd also like to say thanks to Council President Armington for providing a list of trees in wards 2 and 3 that need reviewing. That list was sent over to the arborist so we could see if we have missed anything. And again, if the public is out walking around and they see a dead tree, a tree that needs pruning, trimming, or an area that maybe could use a tree that doesn't have a tree well or has an empty tree well, please reach out to myself via email or through the Shade Tree Commission, right through the website. You could report it, and we will definitely add it to our list of where we can plant or what needs to be improved. So thanks again.
Thank you, Sandy. All right.
Council President, can I interrupt 1 second?
Sure.
I forgot to mention at the beginning of my budget address for a moment of silence for someone you knew and someone that was very close to me for decades. Alfonso Pava Riviere passed away, and he was somebody that you could always run into in Morristown, especially at Starbucks with his son Joseph. He died suddenly and we will miss him. And I wanted to, just at the end, maybe we could do a moment of silence for him before we close out the night.
Yes. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to encourage the residents to visit the Morristown parks. Just remember to have distancing, the social distancing, but I just want to encourage those to go out on these nice days that we have to visit our parks.
Thank you, Tawana. Planning board has not been officially meeting. Well, it's been meeting, but essentially approving resolutions that from prior applications before the virus hit, and essentially for everyone's knowledge, the current pending applications, specifically the M Station, continues to be on the agenda. It continues to be noticed for the respective meetings, regular meetings, and is always tabled to the following meeting, and that's an administrative process. So let you know there has been no action on that at this point.
There was and one more thing, Council President, if I may, I forgot to mention that in regards to the parking authority, they're looking to resume reinforcement in all parking regulations on June 1st.
Okay.
So that would be for the benefit of the public.
Can we get that out at the administration level on the website? Just so, because it's been a while.
Sure.
Thank you.
Stefan, there was a notice in today's Daily Record from the attorney for M Station publicizing that there will be a meeting, a planning board meeting, virtual Zoom meeting with directions to call in on May 28th, and also directions for anybody who wants to ask questions to email them in. So that was in today's Daily Record, posted by the attorney, Mr. Patolo. So if anybody missed it, should we publish that?
Well, I think we will defer to our planning board zoning officer, Michael James James Campbell, and when that becomes official, we will get the word out to the public about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stefan, that's not official then, on the 28th, but there's
there is a planning board meeting on the 28th. My only knowledge is that to date, all planning board applications have been put on hold until they are no longer put on hold. And I believe that is a position that has been established by, am I correct, by the administration, or do you have a thoughts on that, Mayor?
Yeah, I think if the planning board meeting goes ahead, which is scheduled for the 28th, which is a normally scheduled meeting,
yeah,
they would have to post it.
Yeah.
And they did, and I guess if anything's coming, we're going to get it.
Well, my point is that prior meetings, regular scheduled meetings, we've held them via Zoom, and the M Station has been on the agenda. It just has been tabled onward to other meetings to encourage the public input,
right,
through a normal process.
I think that you're starting to see municipalities move forward with their planning board and zoning board meetings.
Okay.
Via Zoom. So I think there is a meeting going to be coming up the 28th.
Okay. So let's if we can once that becomes a concrete thing,
yep,
let's make sure that
make sure it gets out. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would like to just ask Margot, a special request of Margot. For the comment that I made, I'd just like to make the notation that that was an encouragement from the Morristown Environmental Commission. So if you could just make that. Thank you so much.
And if I can just hop on that for a second, Council President, on Councilwoman Cotton. Also, if anybody needs a mask, they can call 973-292-6604. If they're going to go out and about and they don't have face protection, they can call Robert Flanagan, Chief of the Fire Department, at that number, or email him at r-flanagan@townofmorristown.org. If anybody needs a mask, but especially if they're going to go out in the parks, tell them to put facial protection on.
Are those masks given at the fire station?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know that they're given out at the fire station. They've been distributed by firemen and other people in the community. So they'll deliver it to each person's house when they call up and give their name and address.
Thank you.
Thank you for correcting me, Councilwoman.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Because they would have been starting to show up at the firehouse and they would have said, leave your name and address.
All right, so now we're moving on to regular business.
Okay, we have one ordinance for introduction this evening, ordinance number O-18-2020, calendar year ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a tap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 018-2020.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance O-18-2020 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing to be held on May 26th. There are no ordinances for adoption this evening. We have 5 resolutions.
6.
6.
Including
82.
Oops. Thank you. I have that on one sheet, but not the other. 6 resolutions for adoption this evening. Unless members of council would like to pull one or more for separate consideration, I would ask for a motion to approve resolution numbers R82-2020 through R87-2020 en masse.
Can you pull 83 for me? R83-2020.
Okay.
All right, so I'd make a motion to approve R82 and R84 through R87.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Armington.
Yes.
Resolution R-83-2020, resolution waiving the annual license fee for sidewalk cafes for 2020. May I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt R83-2020.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Just a quick question. How many licenses are usually granted and what normally is the cost of them?
It's $250 for a license.
And I believe there's normally 28 licenses issued, and the total revenue is about $7,000.
Okay. Here, thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the adoption of resolution R-83-2020, Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
All right, that concludes the regular business. There is no unfinished business at this time. There's no new business.
Wait, Stefan, can I just say something?
Sure.
I don't know if it's new business, but I just want to make the comment that, well, while everybody's out and home and they're doing home improvements, can everybody please make sure that their home and building numbers are easily readable for the emergency services? The reason I knew about the masks, that you shouldn't pick them up at the firehouse, is because I was helping out distribute masks to people who had requested them. And some people's house numbers were very difficult to find. And if it was hard for somebody just walking around to find them, then emergency services are going to have a difficult time, God forbid somebody calls. So if we could help out our emergency services, if you can, I know some people had red doors and red numbers on them, so it's very hard to read. So just make life easy for everybody if we can make it easy for our emergency services.
Thank you. Mayor, you want to moment of silence?
Yes, if we could remember Alfonso and his family in our thoughts and prayers today. He was a dear friend, and he will be very missed.
And I just want to add, if you allow me, that Alfonso Pava was a great asset for the Latino community. And the news of his passing was hard to take. And when I first found out, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I know that there will be a great void in the Latino community on his departure. And also, as we are having a moment of silence, I want to include the senior that passed a few weeks ago on one of our senior buildings. His name was Nathaniel Scott. Thank you.
That's Luis's father.
All right, well, with that, be safe, everyone.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
I guess she thought you were done, Stefan.
Continue.
No. A motion to adjourn.
So Sheba seconded it.
All in favor?
A second.
Be safe, everyone.
Be safe. God bless you.
God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Until next time.
Thank you.